They have asked me to begin at the order. Very well. I gave the order. I will not pretend otherwise, and I will not spend what remains of my standing before this tribunal constructing the kind of careful language that turns a catastrophe into a regrettable outcome. I gave the order. 37 ships crossed the Thyssen Corridor boundary in pursuit of a single human vessel. None of them came back. I came back because the humans sent me back, and the distinction matters more than this chamber seems to understand. That was 41 years ago. I have not spoken of it publicly. I am speaking of it now because the Kelvari Frontier Command has apparently decided, in its accumulated wisdom, that the lesson did not hold, that the boundary markers in the Thyssen Corridor require review, that the prohibition may be outdated, that a new generation of commanders with new sensor arrays and new drive configurations might achieve what the third pursuit wing could not. I am here to explain, with whatever authority my ruined career still carries, why that assessment is wrong. Begin where the tribunal wants me to begin. The human vessel appeared at marker 9 on the outer edge of the corridor, moving at a speed that our instruments logged and then logged again because the first reading seemed like a malfunction. It was not a malfunction. It crossed into the buffer zone and held there, which under the Thyssen Accords constituted a provocation warranting response. I authorized a response. I authorized Pursuit Commander Davin Orith to take the third wing across the line in a show of force formation. Not to engage. I want that on the record, not to engage, but to demonstrate that the boundary was observed and defended. Orith acknowledged. 37 ships crossed the marker. The human vessel did not flee. I want you to understand what I mean when I say it did not flee. I do not mean it held position defiantly. I do not mean it turned to fight. I mean that it continued on its original heading, at its original speed, as though 37 Kelvari warships emerging from a boundary crossing were a navigational detail, something to note in a log and then set aside. Orith reported this. I told him to maintain pursuit and close the distance. He acknowledged. That was the last full communication I received from him. What followed came in pieces. The first thing I noticed was the interval between reports stretching. In a standard pursuit, a wing commander reports every 3 minutes. Orith's fourth report came at 7 minutes, his fifth at 11. I told my communications officer to query the wing directly, ship by ship. 17 of the 37 responded immediately. The other 20 responses came back fragmented, late, or not at all. And the ones that came back fragmented were difficult to interpret because the syntax was wrong. Not the syntax of a damaged transmitter, but the syntax of a crew that was trying to describe something, and finding that their language did not have the correct words for it. I remember one transmission specifically. It was from the vessel second aboard the Caliph Morn, a young officer named Suvek Prahl who had tested at the top of her cohort and was, by every assessment I had seen, a composed and precise thinker. Her transmission lasted 9 seconds. In those 9 seconds she said, "It is looking at us." She said, "It has been looking at us since we crossed." She said, "It was always going to do this." Then the transmission ended, and the Caliph Morn did not appear in any subsequent contact log. I ordered the wing to halt. I ordered Orith to acknowledge. I ordered a hard query to every ship in the formation on the emergency frequency. 7 ships responded. I ordered those 7 to reverse heading and return to the boundary. 4 of them acknowledged the order. None of the 4 showed up on our sensors again after that acknowledgement. The human vessel continued on its original heading. Its speed did not change. It did not turn. It sent no communications to us, no warnings, no demands. I have spent 41 years thinking about what it means that a human vessel, pursued by 37 warships into what should have been a fighting withdrawal, simply continued where it was going. I have arrived at only one conclusion, and it is not a comfortable one. It was not running from us. It had never been running from us. We had been, from the moment we crossed the boundary, entirely incidental to whatever it was doing. The 37 ships of the third pursuit wing were not a threat it was dealing with. They were a problem it was solving in the same way you solve the problem of a pebble in your boot, without breaking stride, without redirecting your attention, without arriving any later at your destination. I do not know what happened to the ships. I want to be precise about this because I have noticed in the years since that people fill the silence with their preferred narrative, that the humans fired on them, that there was a battle, that there was some dramatic confrontation that explains 37 ships going quiet in the space of 40 minutes. There was no battle that I witnessed. There was a pursuit. There was a silence that expanded, ship by ship, like a fire going out rather than a fire burning. And then there was the dark, and I was alone. My flagship was the Sornath, a command and control vessel that had remained at the boundary while the wing pursued. When the last contact from the wing dropped off the plot board, I was standing at the tracking station watching 37 icons simply cease. Not wink out simultaneously, not cluster and go dark together. One, then a pause, then two more, then one, then a gap of 6 minutes where I let myself believe something had stabilized, then 4 in rapid succession, then the last 9 over the course of 11 minutes, irregular, unhurried, as though whatever was happening had a pace it preferred and kept to it. I gave no further orders. I do not say that with shame. I say it because there were no orders left to give. The wing was gone. The human vessel was somewhere beyond the range of our instruments, continuing on its heading. I stood at the tracking station for what my log tells me was 4 hours and 17 minutes, though I have no memory of most of it, and then I ordered the Sornath to hold position and wait. I do not know what I was waiting for. Perhaps I already understood at some level below language what was coming. A human vessel, not the same one, a different configuration, smaller, appeared on our sensors at approximately the 6-hour mark. It approached the Sornath at a speed that gave my crew adequate time to see it coming. It matched our velocity. A signal came through on an open channel, unencrypted in clear Kelvari, spoken without accent. The message was 4 words. I will not repeat them in this chamber. I have not repeated them to anyone, and I do not intend to. What I will tell you is that the message was not a threat. It was not a warning. It was a statement of fact delivered in the tone you would use to inform someone of the weather, or the local transit schedule, or the name of a street. They brought me aboard. They gave me water. They showed me to a compartment that had a bunk and a porthole and a view of the corridor that I spent most of the transit not looking at. No one spoke to me. No one was unkind to me. After approximately 9 hours, I was escorted to a transfer point at the boundary, placed aboard an automated shuttle, and sent back across the marker. I was debriefed by Frontier Command. I told them the wing was gone. I told them the human vessel had not engaged in combat as I understood the term. I told them what I have told this tribunal today. I did not tell them the 4 words, and I was not pressed on that point, which suggests to me that someone in the debrief chain already knew what the 4 words were likely to be. The 3rd pursuit wing was listed in the order of battle as unaccounted for, not destroyed, unaccounted for. I asked once about the distinction. The adjutant who was maintaining the records looked at me for a moment and then said, carefully, that the designation reflected the absence of confirmed engagement data. I understood what she was not saying. To list them as destroyed would require an enemy action. To list them as unaccounted for required only a silence, and the silence was real. The boundary markers in the Thyssen Corridor were moved outward by 43 units the following quarter. No announcement was made. No explanation was given in the public record. In the order of battle, there is a notation attached to the corridor sector that reads, "Approach threshold, do not pursue, do not cross." It has been there for 41 years. Every commander who has served on the frontier has read it. As far as I know, no one has asked why. The ones who might have asked learned not to, and the ones who were never told have simply accepted the notation as one of the facts of the frontier, the way you accept the depth of a particular channel or the current of a particular tide. Now Frontier Command wants to revisit the prohibition. Now there is a new generation that finds the notation insufficient, that wants a documented reason, that considers 41 years of silence on the far side of a boundary marker to be evidence that the threat has faded, or was perhaps exaggerated to begin with. I am 73 years old. I have held this testimony inside me for 4 decades because no one was ready to hear it, and because, frankly, I was not certain I was ready to give it. What I can tell you is this: the 3rd Pursuit Wing did not encounter an enemy that fought them and won. They encountered something that continued on its way and solved them as an incidental problem, without anger, without ceremony, without altering its heading by a single degree. The human vessel was going somewhere. I do not know where. I do not know if it arrived. I know that 37 Kelvari warships attempted to prevent it from going, and the only reason I know that is because I was not fast enough to pursue. Do not move the markers. I have nothing further to add to this record, and I will not answer questions about the forewords. The tribunal may seal this testimony now. I would prefer that it does.